This video looks at the factorial ANOVA, when there is more than one factor influencing the dependent variable. Remember, we did not do multiple t-tests for more than one grouping variable, which is the same as a factor, because the error is multiplied. We did a single factor one-way ANOVA to account for all the mean differences. Similarly, we avoid additional error with a fixed effect ANOVA, called a factorial ANOVA, by examining multiple factors. Bear in mind that factor is just another term for independent variable when you have more than one. Suppose a researcher suspects that perceived communication immediacy, a dependent variable, is influenced by individualism and sex. Looking at the effects one at a time is examining the main effects of each independent variable uninfluenced by other independent variables. If two or more factors contribute to a change in the dependent variable, then the effect is additive. But if the factors interact in combination, called an interaction effect, the joint effect is multiplicative. The independent factors are not merely working together, but may also create a bonus effect. There are two types of interactions: uncrossed or ordinal interactions, where the effects are in the same direction, and crossed or disordinal interactions when the factors work in opposite directions. Ordinal interactions create the bonus effect mentioned earlier. When you plot the factors in different ways, you can visualize crossed or uncrossed lines. The key difference of the two types is that ordinal, that is uncrossed, allows the interpretation of main effects in the interaction, but disordinal does not allow for main effects of either factor in isolation. Disordinal interactions are a way to convince us that some variables can only be considered in combination rather than separately, although it is possible to consider the main effect of yet another third factor that is not involved in the interaction of the first two factors. Let's run the test in SPSS. Here are the three variables again, and we have 104 cases. Sex and individualism are the categories, and the dependent measure, immediacy, is a continuous variable. To run a fixed effect ANOVA, click on Analyze, then General Linear Model, then Univariate. The two independent variables go in the fixed factor box, and the dependent variable goes in the box at the top. Next, click on Model and verify that this is a full factorial and that the computation is by type 3, which should be the default. So just click on Continue. Click on Options and move all the factors and their interactions to the Display Means box. The little time symbol shows that this is an interaction of individualism and gender. Then in the display box at the bottom, click on Descriptive Statistics, Effect Size, and Homogeneity, which is Levine's test again to make sure the groups are comparable. Click on Continue. Finally, click on Plots. Specify sex as the horizontal axis and individualism as the separate line. Click on Add. Then reverse the process with individualism on the horizontal axis and sex on the separate line. Click on Add. You now have instructions to plot two different interactions. Click on Continue and then on OK. Levine is not significant, so the assumptions of homogeneity of variances is not violated. The value 0.681 is not less than 0.05, nor is the typo in your textbook. Here are the results showing the means and the sources of variance. The intercept is the unknown factors, which are significant, but still unknown. So let's ignore those for a moment. Individualism is the only other value for f that produces a significant effect. This then is your main effect, that individualism influences perceived immediacy. Sex is not significant, 0.798, and the interaction The interaction was not significant, p equals 0.264, but you can look at the plots to see that individualism would have produced a crossed effect. In the top box, not so much, but definitely in the bottom one where individualism was plotted on the horizontal axis. It means that there would have been a disordinal interaction, that is, had it been statistically significant, p is less than 0.05, and that would have erased the main effect of individualism if considered all by itself. That's a fast look at fixed effect ANOVA. See you next time.